There's an old joke that will tell you a lot about the mindset of a comedian. So this comic does two shows on a Friday night. He finishes up, decides to go and hit the bar, and this drop dead gorgeous woman approaches. I mean, a real stunner. And she says, I saw you perform tonight. It was so great. I want you to come back to my house and let's just make love all night long. The comic looks at her and says, did you see the 8 o'clock show or the late show? Welcome to Secrets of Stand-Up Comedy. I'm Dick Williams. I'm going to tell you everything I know about stand-up comedy so you can be a better comedian. What does that joke mean? It means that we are our own best and worst critics. Because I've had experiences like that. If somebody gives me a compliment, I'm like, which show did you see? Because I know what went wrong with both of the shows. And I know which one I would rather have them see. And so I'm really hard on myself. But to be better as a comedian, the only thing I truly think will push you to be a better comedian is to think of yourself as a better comedian. Because if you think you're up here, you won't tolerate down here behavior from yourself. You won't cut corners. You won't go up and do hacky bullshit. You will not just go up and wing it when that's not your ability or skill. There's times where the audience has no idea. They're laughing. To them, it's been a great show, but I come off stage and I'm pissed at myself. I'm like, I'm doing the same material I've done for a long time. I wasn't even into it. Yeah, it got laughs, but I wasn't performing. I was thinking about other things while I was on stage. I didn't go all out on that one bit. I didn't do any new material. I just coasted. And that bothers me more than bombing. It's like the very famous UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden. He cared more about how his players and his team performed than he did about wins and losses. He's a great one to watch. I played some of his speeches in one of the early videos. And you'll learn a lot from people like that. I mean, he is just solid. Detailed down to the point of showing his players how to tie their sneakers. And most players would be like, this is it. It is important. Every aspect of this, every detail is important. None of this is about being famous. None of this is about success or being the best comic who's ever lived. It's what I always say. It's about being the best comic I can be. Am I better than my last set? When I hold certain standards, I have to critically ask myself, is my material up to par? Am I emoting? Am I performing when I'm doing this material? I spent all this time writing it. Why am I just mumbling or being meek? That's what gives you the confidence on stage, that you've put all this work into it. You know it's funny. You're going to show them. You're giving them this. But if you don't believe in it, why are they going to? Because I hold myself in such high regard, there's certain material I don't do because I know it's easy. The first joke that pops into my head, I usually discard. Not because someone told me that that's the way to do it or there's some formula. It's because it's not good enough for me. It's not satisfactory. Being good enough is not good enough. I want to be excellent. I remember when I did Hilarities for the first time, starting like a 4-month tour in Akron, Ohio, and Cuyahoga Falls. It's the same area, I guess. I had to do a half an hour every night. And I remember the first night, this one spot in my act, it was a dead spot. And I knew after that first night, I'm like, I can't keep doing that. That material sucks. I could get away with it. I could just ignore that part of my act, do it, and then move on. No, I had to write. I had to cut that part out and put something else good in it. And it made me feel great. Even the first thing I put in, I wrote and came up with that next day. It didn't work, but I felt a lot better than that other time, the night before, when I did a bit that I knew just sucked, that I thought was a little clever. That's not good enough. Think about how many comics there are, just in your local scene, let alone the whole U.S. You're competing with them. Not directly, because remember, comedy is golf. It's not boxing. There's plenty of room for all of us. But if you want to stand out, you're at a cattle call with 100 people. You're in a city with 200 comics. You're going up against, in LA, I got bumped by Dave Chappelle. I used to do these shows with I don't even want to name drop. I used to do these big shows. I'm like, okay, well, how do I measure up? There's really two entities that care about my act, about me as a comic. That's me, that has to be first and foremost, and the audience. The audience cares because they paid or they showed up. They're giving me their attention. They want to laugh. Me, because I'm always with myself. I'm always at my shows. I know what I'm capable of. You know what you're capable of. You know that one joke or the thing that you said one time in your friend group. You know how funny you are. Don't sell yourself short. Don't do just enough. And it doesn't have to be this hard work and you got to spend 10,000 hours. Don't listen to that horse shit. You don't have to spend 10,000 hours to be a great comic. We pick up these things from the zeitgeist and the culture, and then everybody starts saying, oh, you have to be doing comedy for 7 years to be a great... Bullshit. You could be great now. Use the tools that you've learned. Whether it's from this channel, the tips and things that I say, or other YouTube channels or books or whatever knowledge you've scraped together, apply it. One of my favorite things to do is, and I know Facebook is dead or whatever, but I love going through my memories on Facebook when that pops up each day, because I look at the things that I wrote, and there were a lot of jokes in there, and I evaluate myself. I'm like, did I think this was funny back then? Like, I used to do this thing where it's so cringy now, but I would make fun. I don't like internet slang. I don't like most slang at all, unless it's old-timey. So I would use it, but I would use it poorly to spoof it. And it mainly comes from blacks and gays. Slay Queen, and then, we all fit to do and all that stuff. I read it back and I'm like, it doesn't seem like I'm doing what I intended to do, which is spoofing it. It just sounds like I'm using that slang. So I've cut that out. But that's how serious I am about it. I'll see a post that I did 7 years ago, and I'll go, I have to stop doing this. I'm better than this. I'm better than even making it so obvious that people get the joke. There's a lot of examples of that. When I post something, I edit it, I reread it, and I edit it, and then I read it out loud. This is for a Facebook post. Because I can't be putting whack shit out there. I don't want to be corny. Because if I do a set and it's not all new stuff, if I do a set where this is considered my act, and let's say I do 45 minutes and 5 minutes of it is just real weak, real like lowest common denominator, not real effort, easy laughs, things that any other comic could have come up with or any person in the audience. In my mind, it destroys the rest of my set. Because where's my credibility? Why did I care so much about that other 35 minutes or 40 minutes if I'm going to still do this 5? You have to be tough on yourself. That's why in these episodes, I sometimes chastise you. Because we live in this coddling society where everybody's giving each other a pat on the back and then complaining about other people anonymously. It's not, you're not going to get better that way. You're not going to get better until you see yourself as above what you're currently doing. If what you're currently doing is not good enough, raise your standards. And you are the best judge of that. I can point it out to you, but after the show, when you're getting those attaboys and the pats on the back, you know what you did. You know if you did just enough or if you truly killed. Because killing on stage, there's one form where the audience loves you and all of that, and there's the other one where it's the perfect execution of all these gems that you put together. Your view about the world and the things inside of it. That's the difference. That's what makes you great. And when you start thinking like that, you're not as influenced by other comics or other outside influences. I use this channel as an example. I love getting feedback, even if it's critical, because I want this to be the best it can be. But if anybody told me, well, why are you doing it in black and white? This should be in color. I wouldn't listen to them. I would be polite, but I made an artistic choice. I know what I'm doing. And I'm proud of what I've done on this channel. I've made tons of mistakes in making these videos, but at the time, I didn't know better. I was doing the best that I could at the time. In summary, what I want you to do is have high expectations of yourself. Really hold yourself to a high standard. Not perfectionism, because usually perfectionism is just a different form of procrastination. I'm not telling you to hold off on doing shows or going to open mics, because every show and every open mic is a chance to get better. What I'm saying is expect the most from yourself. Set the bar high enough that it pushes you, it motivates you, so that if somebody comes up to you after the show and they say, hey, good set, you can accept the compliment. Because many times after shows, people would say that I would make all kinds of excuses. I would give them everything that I did wrong. I don't do that anymore. I simply don't meet with the crowd if I am not happy with how I did, even if I kill. I make a video every day. I hope you find this channel again. There's ways of doing that, but I'm not gonna force you to do anything. If this is helpful to you, you'll find it again. Thank you.